You're listening to Worshipped. This is a temple of the divine feminine, a sacred space to reclaim and remember the power within you that they've wanted you to hide. I'm Hillary, occupational therapist, professional dominatrix, and pleasure priestess. As a woman who has gone through many deaths and rebirths and lives a path of deep transformation, I'm here to guide you through the dark feminine arts, the somatics and the nervous system, feminine and masculine energetics, sacred leadership, self-worship, sensuality, pleasure, and the goddesses within us. This is not just a podcast. This is a reckoning. Welcome to Worshipped. Hello, gorgeous goddesses. It's been a while. It's been such a long time, and there have been so many changes. There has been so much evolution and growth, and to be honest, I was feeling myself getting stuck in the trap of perfectionism, getting stuck in the trap of this podcast rebrand and what this had to look like. And I told myself I wanted a whole new background. I wanted a whole new vibe to come with Worshipped, right? Because it was Girl, You're a Goddess, which was very inviting and sweet and open. But we're evolving and we're getting a little edgier and we're getting a little darker. And as I feel more confident being seen in my full power and darkness and edgy self, like you're on this journey with me of that growth of being seen and feeling good in that and opening up that space. And so as I do that, you are joining me. And that is the energy behind this rebrand of Worshipped. Because everything, the grand golden thread of what I do is that you are worshipped. And you are not just worshipped by someone else. Firstly, you are worshipped by yourself. You literally worship yourself at the altar of you. Then others worship you, and then you are worshipped by literally the universe, right? The universe bending to your will because you have set the standard, because you have set that energy that you deserve to be worshipped. And it's easy for us to say, yeah, I deserve to be worshipped. I like to be worshipped. But do you feel it? On a soul level, do you know it? Do you know deep within your soul that you deserve the reverence and the adoration and the respect and the abundance and the love? Do you deserve that? And you do, but do you know it? Do you feel that at a soul level? That you are worthy of it? That you are worthy of the reality of your dreams? That you are worthy of the things that you desire? That you are worthy of pleasure? That you are worthy of rest without having to earn it. That you are worthy of rest without guilt. That you are worthy of putting yourself before everything and everyone else. That you are worthy of living a life you desire, no matter how uncomfortable that makes other people. That you are worthy of going for your dreams, of going after it, regardless of what that means for relationships, for judgment, for perception of other people, right? We have lived and designed our entire lives based on what other people want from us, based on the expectations set by other people. And literally, this happens from day one. Like the day we are born as women, we are conditioned to please everyone else, to put ourselves in this neat little box, to make everyone else happy, to do what everyone else wants, to meet everyone else's expectations. And as we get older, this conditioning goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And there's more relationships that we're trying to please or attract. And there's more expectations that we're trying to meet. And we are literally living in the world as the feminine, which in a world that is designed strictly for the masculine. Our entire world is solely designed for the masculine, how the masculine operates. So from the beginning, we are going against the grain. We are going upstream, right? We're fighting against the current because our bodies don't work this way. Our energy doesn't work this way. We are not meant to live in a masculine structure. We are not meant to work from 9 to 5 every day. We are not meant to follow the testosterone levels of men, right? We have fluctuations, we have flow. So everything from the day we are born is working against our bodies and our energy and our spirituality and the natural way that we exist in the world. And so, of course, we're used to discomfort. Of course, we're used to fitting ourselves into a box that doesn't quite feel right. Of course, we're used to molding ourselves to fit other people's expectations because we've always had to do it. We can't even work with our bodies naturally. We can't even let our bodies naturally exist. We force our bodies into a pattern, a program, a box, into expectations. We're literally trying to remold nature. And Mother Nature is not having it. She's not having it. That doesn't work for us. And so we've been fighting and pushing and forcing against so much for so long. And so, of course, we are used to fitting other people's expectations. Of course, we are used to putting ourselves in a tiny little box. Of course, we are used to looking a certain way, acting a certain way, performing a certain way, becoming a certain person, because we've been told that we are not inherently worthy. We've been told that we need to attract a man to be worthy. We've been told that we need to get married to be worthy. We've been told that we need to have children to be worthy. We've been told that we need to get an education to be worthy. We've been told that we need to please other people to be worthy, right? Like, how many things in your life do you do for external validation to feel worthy, to feel deserving, to feel loved? So much of it. I was performing a completely different person. I was being someone that I was never meant to be because I wanted to be loved, because I wanted to feel worthy, because I had no idea of the value of my presence, my energy, my love, my worth. I had no idea. I just knew that I was told to get an education. I was told to be independent. I was told I had to get a man. I was told to get the house. I was told to have the kids. So I did these things. I didn't have the kids, thankfully. Thankfully, that did not happen for me. But I followed the path that everyone set out for me because I didn't know there was another way. What else is there? This is what everyone in my life is telling me to do. This is what my family is telling me to do, and they know best, right? They have knowledge and they have wisdom that I don't have, so they must be right. They must know. They must know the secret to this life that I don't know. No, they never discovered it because my parents followed the path that their parents told them. And their parents followed the path that their parents told them. And I now know that I am the cycle breaker. I have not fit into my family for a long time, and I have a beautiful relationship with my parents now. But there were times where I felt like I was pushing against the grain so hard, and it was so difficult, and it was frustrating. And I couldn't, why am I so different? Why doesn't anyone see what I see? Why can't my family understand what I see, where I'm coming from, my views, my perspective? And it's because I'm the cycle breaker. It's because they don't understand these views of the world, because to live out their lifetime, to live out their purpose here, they weren't meant to. And that doesn't mean they can't evolve or they can't change, but I'm not banking on that. And it's not my job to do that for them, right? It's not my job to shift their perspectives and change their mind and change the way they see the world. I can share my thoughts, I can share my perspective, and they can take it or leave it. But it was so difficult being so different. And there was a period of time, it was literally from COVID, because my eyes were awakened to so much. I woke up to so much of what was going on in the world, of things that I thought were true that were not true, of things that I had ultimate trust in that I realized I could not trust. And that was part of the wake-up call for me about everything in my life. And right before that, I was going through a divorce. People asked me when I got divorced. It was in 2020, but I filed for divorce in December of 2019. So I feel like my body knew and my soul knew that so many things were going to change. And I was going into this massive phase of death and rebirth, of descent into the underworld, ultimately for progress and growth and evolution. But like, this was the depth, and I didn't know how deep and how difficult and how dark it was going to get. I'm a double Scorpio sign, Aquarius moon. My path is literally made to go through the death and the rebirth, to march my fine ass down into the underworld and figure out exactly what I need to do and exactly the way this is going to go, and then crawl my way back out. And I have done that again and again and again. And I will do it again. And I will do it again. And it's not scary anymore. It's kind of exciting. It's kind of exciting because you know through those depths and through that struggle, something incredible is on its way. Something that you can't even imagine is on its way for you. And so in December of 2019, I made the decision to get a divorce and end my marriage. And it was a relationship that was holding me back. It was a relationship that I could not grow in. And we had grown vastly apart. And the timing of it is crazy because my soul, my body knew, right? Like I was preparing myself for this complete phase of evolution, for this complete phase of awakening to what is my life? What is my purpose? What am I even doing here? Everything that I thought was true is no longer true. And I am relearning, reconfiguring my entire reality. I had never been single before. I now live in a home by myself. I don't have my dog. I don't feel any sense of protection or security. I feel vulnerable. I feel alone. I feel scared. There's so much running through my mind about what is this future going to look like? Everything is unknown. Nothing is stable. I can't even go to the grocery store. I can't even be outside. It was the biggest journey of death, descent of probably, 3-4 months in the underworld, in the dark, just trying to find my way through, right? Asking existential questions every single day. What am I doing? What is all this for? Why am I here? Why did this happen to me, right? All of these huge questions. And it was such a pivotal time though, because I started to create an entire new reality for myself. I actually started dreaming. I was actually able to have desires outside of what someone else wanted for me. I didn't have a partner, a husband anymore telling me what I could and couldn't do, who was constricting me into this box of this person that they thought I was. And I now had the freedom to become anyone I want. To become anyone I wanted, to do anything I wanted to do. The world was shut down. It's the perfect time to sit in my bathtub and cry the ugliest tears, think about what I wanted from my life, and dream and visualize it and imagine it. And I didn't even know what the possibilities were. Right? What could my life look like? Could look like anything I wanted to. And I had always been fascinated with dominatrices. The edgy darkness. And I'm a Scorpio sun, I'm a Scorpio rising. Like, give me the darkness, give me the edge, give me the taboo, give me the rule breaker. Show me the things that are pushing the boundaries that make people a little uncomfortable. Where is that safe edge, right? I didn't want dangerous. I didn't want aggressive. I didn't want scary. I didn't want harmful. I don't want any of that. I want that safe edge. I want pushing the boundary a little bit. I want the thing that makes someone else a little uncomfortable because it expands their beliefs. It makes them question what they think is right or wrong and why they think it, right? So at night, when I was sitting in the bathtub, I would research dominatrices. How do you become one? What are the logistics of safety? How do you practice this? What does this even look like? I would look up local dungeons in my area and try to find training or experience, but I wasn't quite ready. I was so curious. It was calling me. But I didn't reach out to anyone. I didn't make contact because heavens, goddess forbid anyone know that I'm looking into being a dominatrix. The judgment. The perceptions, the shame, the guilt. Scary. So scary. So when you look at my content and when you listen to this and when you are consuming information, you are interacting, you are engaging with me as a dominatrix, I understand. I understand the fear and the hesitation and the conditioned shame and the perceived guilt and the perceived wrongness or sinning or all of these things that we have attached to women's sensuality and women's power, right? I understand because I was terrified. I was terrified, but I was so drawn to it. It was calling me. I knew it was. I knew the leather and the latex and the thigh-high boots were calling me. And, people ask me how I got into becoming a dominatrix. And I tell them the story, but if you know me, you know I love fashion. I love clothes. I love style. And honestly, so much of it was the style. I love thigh-high leather black boots. It's my dream. They are drool-worthy. And to find a pair of boots that actually fits my long legs. I mean, honestly, part of the appeal about being a dominatrix was I wanted to look like that. I wanted to look edgy. I wanted to look powerful. I was drawn to it. And of course, there's so much more and there's so much depth. And that was just part of what drew me to it, right? And that's literally the smallest part now about what I do, but it's kind of funny because I am also a Venus in Libra. And so I'm drawn to aesthetics, to beauty, to the way things look, to the presentation, right? And there was something so powerful and regal and statuesque about a woman in her dom attire, right? And it was juicy. And I feel like when I looked at a dominatrix, she embodied the confidence that I wanted. She embodied, she was the outward appearance of the darkness, right? The edginess, the darkness, the pushing the boundaries within me. And it was so magnetic for me. And I was just like, I want that. I want to be that. I want to embody that confidence, that leadership. I want to embody that darkness. And when I say darkness, this isn't something bad. It's not something scary. It's your raw, ancient goddess power. The goddess of love is also the goddess of war. Hecate, Kali, Lilith, all of these goddesses are demonized. They're put in such a negative light because, why? Because they didn't follow the status quo, because they didn't let men tell them what to do, because they had their own independence, because they wanted to do things their own way, because they didn't let men just walk all over them and use them, abuse them, and drain them of their energy. They were powerful. They were confident. They knew their worth. They knew their value, and they stood in it 10 toes down. Those goddesses said, "You're not fucking with me. I am powerful. I am worthy. Get on your knees." That is the darkness. That is the power. That is the spectrum of the feminine, because it's light and it's dark, right? And we have all of this within us. And patriarchy and society tells us that feminine is submissive and small, and she's quiet and she's meek, and she fits in this nice little box because she's meant to serve. Again, that is the patriarchy conditioning you, programming you, telling you to be small in a way that's appealing, in a way that says, oh, well, I'm feminine, so that'll attract a man. I'm feminine, so I'm flowy and I don't have to do anything. I'm feminine, so the feminine is the darkness and the light. The feminine is the spectrum of power, of empathy, of softness, of strength. Right? And so when I saw a dominatrix, I saw the power, the leadership, the strength, the darkness. And so often when we see the dominatrix, that's it. We don't see the light. We only see the dark. And it's something that we're told is scary and taboo, and you're sinning. Sins aren't even real. We're going to go into a whole episode on patriarchal religions, sky daddy, living in fear and shame, and the shame put on women's bodies and women's sexuality because it is our greatest power. So there's no such thing as a sin. You're not born as a sinner, right? There's positive and negative energy. You can make a moral choice. You can be a good person, right? There's so much that goes into that. But so often there's so much shame wrapped up in a woman who is in her power, who embodies her dark edges, right? Who is able to lead, who has the capacity to bring men to their knees. Why don't they want you to know that you have the power to bring men to their knees? Because they don't want you to know you have power. Because they don't want you to know that your feminine is that valuable and that you are that worthy. Of course they don't want you to know that. Of course they don't want you to know that the feminine is the natural sacred leader. I was just watching a video on this the other day about how, isn't it interesting that the fact that girls mature faster than boys is only used against us, and it's only used for the boys' benefit, right? It's, well, girls mature faster, so this is why boys act this way. Boys are mean to you because you matured faster. Well, this is excusing boys' poor behavior because, well, they just don't mature as fast. Give them some time to catch up. Let them catch up. Why is girls maturing faster not the symbol of our natural leadership? Hello? Hello? The fact that girls, when we play, we are organizing vet clinics. We are organizing tea parties. This is your job. This is your job. We are going to have this to drink. You're going to do this. We're going to save this animal, right? It's cooperation. It's organizing a team. We have a goal. It's community. And when boys play, it's solo play, or it's destruction, or it's physicality, right? Why is that not a symbol of the feminine's natural leadership? We literally started when we're girls playing. We're setting out our dolls and they're having a tea party, and this person does this and this person does this, and then they're going on a trip together, and then we organize. The feminine is the natural leader, and they don't want you to know it, right? Our entire society, the entire world benefits off of women's labor, off of women's sacrifice, off of women's energy. Our world benefits from the drain of our energy without us knowing its value. And so they don't want you to know that you're powerful, and they don't want you to know that you're worthy, and they don't want you to know that you have value, because everyone else benefits from taking it from you for no cost, for no price, for giving nothing in return. So that is where they have demonized women in their power. You can't even be an owner of a company without being a boss bitch, right? Oh, she's an entrepreneur. She must be a bitch. Oh, she tells everyone what to do. She just has to be in control. Right? They make it something negative. But when men do it, he's a leader. He's an entrepreneur. He's ambitious. He's motivated. Oh, he's an ass. Well, he just, he's got so much on his plate. He's got so much to handle. It's a positive. It's okay for men, right? But it's a negative for women, because they don't want us to know our power. They don't want us to know that we can lead. They don't want us to know that we are the leaders. And I found this out as a dominatrix because, of course, I was drawn to it. And it was that nagging little thought in the back of my head. And so every night I'm in the bathtub and I'm researching dominatrixes. And so I let it go for a little bit. I had to get my life on track, right? I've never been alone. I'm now freshly divorced, and I'm figuring out what life looks like during COVID, and it's chaos. It's absolute chaos. It is the biggest descent. So I'm figuring all of this out. So I set my little dominatrix desires aside. And so months go by, I can't stop thinking about it. And I'm like, I've got to do it. Why not? Why not? I've got to do it. I want to. And I don't want to be 80 and thinking about to that time when I was in my bathtub when I could have been a fucking dominatrix and I talked myself out of it because of other people's judgment of it. No. I already knew that was not going to be the case. So I did more research and I played around with it a little bit, bought some outfits, bought some implements, right? I wanted to experience it. What does it feel like? And so as someone who has a master's degree and many certificates and continuing education, I am wired to seek out professional education because part of it's my conditioning that I don't know enough and I can't teach myself enough, right? Like I have to seek that outside of myself. But I am drawn to learning and I love knowledge, and it was so hard to find information about becoming a dominatrix. This world is very closed off. It's very tight-knit, and I understand because there's legalities, there's safety issues, right? That it has to be. Women are protecting themselves. It's also very competitive and it's a little catty, right? It's not the most collaborative community, to say the least. So it's hard to get into it and figure it out and what does this look like. And so I went through a professional academy. And it's run by a dominatrix who is a PhD in psychology, and she's been a dom for decades. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to learn it, I'm going to learn it right. I want to know the psychology. I want to know why people like what they like and why I'm interested in this, right? Like, what is the psychological connection with this and my energy? And so I go through this academy. It's 9 months of training, of physical skills, of presence, of verbal skills, of appearance, of so many valuable techniques to becoming a dominatrix. And I'm so glad I did that, because it answered so many of my questions about the logistics. But there was more for it for me, right? And it wasn't just, I want to be this cookie cutter version of a dominatrix. I don't just want to dress like this and speak this way. There's more. There's more depth. There's energetics here. There's therapeutics here. There's healing here. And there's so much power here. Not just the power dynamics, but the more I embodied the dominatrix, the more I embodied the darkness. I call her like my inner Lilith, right? As the dominatrix, I am embodying Lilith. And that was another thing. There's goddess energy here. And as a dom, I am addressed as goddess, but there's actual goddess energy here. There's Lilith energy here. There's Hecate energy here. There's Kali energy here, right? Like, there's so much to this. And this is just scratching the surface. So I went through the program. I am technically a certified professional dominatrix, but there was so much more. And that is a huge part of my journey for the past 5 years now, because it went deeper and deeper and deeper. And the more sessions I had, the more I understood, the more I embodied this Lilith energy, this dark goddess energy. I realized this isn't just about being a dom. This affects the way I show up in every single part of my life. This affects the way I show up in relationships with my family, in holding boundaries, in communication, right? In the way people speak to me, in the way I speak to others, in the way I allow people to treat me, in the way I expect to be treated. The things I now know about the value of my feminine, of my presence, of my worth. Like, this was one of the biggest catalysts of my self-worth journey, transformation, learning how much value I actually hold. Men are begging me to be on their knees in my presence. They want nothing from me except to be in my presence. Does that not tell you the fucking immense value of feminine energy? They want nothing from me except to be on their knees in reverence. Like, does that not give you the visual of a goddess in her temple, sitting upon her throne with a man placing his offer on her altar? Does that not show you the value of the feminine? And this is not just for me. This is for all of us. This is the feminine. And that's why I do this, to show you what your reality can be. I was never taught that I had power. I was never taught that men would be, what? That's still such a taboo statement, men on their knees for me, right? Like, that is so crazy. If you would have told me 8 years ago that this would be my life and I would be in this goddess energy and I would know my worth and I would hold this power and this capacity, and like, I would never have believed you. If you would have told me 8 years ago that I was a fucking dominatrix, I would have never believed you. Because that was so outside of what I thought was possible. That was so outlandish. That was so shocking. But it's not shocking at all, right? Because when we think about what a dominatrix is, it's a woman in her power. It's a woman who knows her value. It's a woman who doesn't let people walk all over her. It's a woman who communicates her desires. It's a woman who holds her boundaries. It's a woman who wears whatever she wants. It's a woman who embraces her darkness and her light. It's a woman who embraces her edges, and she's not afraid to dive into the dark, right? She's not afraid to go into the deep and come back out. That's why it's powerful. Because if I can do it for myself, I can do it for my clients. I can do it for my clients in a dom setting. I can do it for the clients that I coach. I can do it for all of the women that I work with because I've gone to the depths. I've gone through that darkness and I've gone by myself and clawed my way back out. And if I can do that for me, oh girl, I am so excited to do it with you. Right? That's the capacity. That is the power. That is the energetic space that I can hold because I've done it. And I do it in a dungeon. And I do it in my mentorship sessions. And I do it with women at retreats. That is the power. That is the capacity. That is the strength. That is the feminine in her full expression. You are this bubble, this aura, this container of power. And we don't even know it. Because the world doesn't want us to know it. Because what happens when you know that? You don't settle. You don't let people walk all over you. You actually speak your desires. You create a reality of your desires. You receive abundance. You are open to receiving. You're open to love. You're open to connection. You're open to all of these beautiful things that we desire, that we dream of. But we tell ourselves it's not for us. Well, that's not for me. I didn't grow up with money. Well, that's not for me. I'm not attractive. That's not for me because men don't look at me that way. That's not for me because I don't work hard enough. That's not for me because I have kids. That's not for me because I didn't grow up here. That's not for me because I'm not worthy of it. Those are all the lies that you tell yourself because of the conditioning and the programming that you have learned your entire life. And it's intentional. They want you to think those things. I know. I thought them too. I thought every single one of those things. And I believed it for a long fucking time. I was in a relationship that I was settling in for a decade. I fucking get it. I get it. I know exactly how you're feeling. I know exactly where you're at. And I'm doing this, and I am coming on here, and I'm speaking to you about all of this because you can do it too. Because if I can go through those depths and I can crawl my way back out, you can too. And I am telling you, the life on the other side of that, of your rebirth, of your return, is more incredible than you've ever imagined. You can't even imagine it. I tell myself every day that my reality is even better than my dreams. My reality is even better than my dreams, and it's because it's true, and I believe that with every fiber of my being because it has happened. Because I have called in things that I didn't even know were possible. I have called in a man that checked off every freaking box of my 1.5 mile long list. Like, I have expectations that are out of this fucking world, and that man meets them, exceeds them. I have called in a business that I didn't even know I could have. I have called in more and more and more because my reality is even better than my dreams. Because I visualize it, because I think about it, because I know I'm worthy, because I know I deserve it. And so it happens for me. It comes in for me. The frequency that I'm putting out is the frequency I attract back in. And it's here for you too. The life that you want to live, your dream life, the life that you desire, that is on the other side of the things that you are still settling for. That is on the other side of the things that you know are not aligned in your life. That is on the other side of that change that you are terrified to make. And I get it. I get it. I didn't have a guide. I didn't have a mentor. I'm stubborn as heck. And I told myself I'm just going to struggle through and I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to do this by myself. And it sucked. It was really fucking hard. It was painful. And it took me a long time. And so if you're listening to this and you know there's a change that you need to make, you know that there's something not aligned, you know that there are things you are settling for, or you just know that you're not happy, that you have everything you were supposed to want and it feels like nothing at all. There is nothing wrong with how you're feeling. You shouldn't feel shame or guilt for wanting more. The fact that those desires are coming to you, that feeling is coming to, means you're meant for more. And I know it's scary. I know. I blew up my entire life and everything I knew because I knew there had to be more. There's got to be something else. And I don't know what it is, but I'm going to get rid of all this and I'm going to go find it. And so that is what I'm here for. I am here to guide you through that journey, to support you, to help you figure out what are those things that you are settling for? What are your desires and what's standing in the way of that? Is it you? Is it something else? Most of the time, we are the thing that's standing in the way of our desires, right? And so because I've walked this path and I've gone through this journey, I am here to help you do the same. And the Goddess Code is open for you. It is an incredible program. It is a 7-module immersion to peel back every single layer of conditioning and programming that tells you you are not worthy, that makes you question what you deserve, that fits you into this neat little box. It unravels thread by thread until you start to tap into your power, to your knowing, to your worth, to what you believe that you deserve. And you truly start to embody the goddess within you. The Goddess Code is the culmination of everything that I learned in my journey. Gorgeous goddesses, it is so good to be back here with you and being heard and using my voice. And I've missed this. There's power in it. It's magical. So I am so glad you are here. Welcome to Worshipped, the beautiful sacred space of our divine feminine. All right, my loves, I will see you next week.